Okay, so we're going to have a look at some exercises that really focus on the use of imagery in order to help to achieve this 360-degree breath and really engage your diaphragm properly. So imagery is one of the most useful tools I find in singing, and you might find that you come up with your own imagery that works a lot better for you than things that we're looking at here. So yeah, do drop me a message and let me know if you're coming up with your own ideas. It's always great to hear other people's. First one is the imagery of a waterfall. So you want to imagine that as you're breathing in and this air is wanting to come down into the bottom half of your lungs, that the breath going in is like a waterfall. So waterfall falling off a cliff, it wants to go, it doesn't just stop, it comes all the way down until it makes contact with the water at the bottom, and that's where it kind of swells and fills and you've got that sort of movement. That's what we want when we're breathing in. We're going to have the air coming in, down into the bottom of our lungs where it's going to swell and fill the bottom of our lungs. So try to imagine that as you take your deep breath. And then as you breathe out and your belly's going in, that is as the water is kind of settling, okay? So that's one. We can imagine that we've got a mouth around our belly button. So this is really helpful for kind of focusing on the feeling of that diaphragm engaging. This one is also really useful for kind of drawing the tension away, separating the head from the body. The body wants to be doing the work, not the head and the neck when we're singing. So imagining that your mouth isn't here, but it's here and it's in your belly, and that's where you're singing from. That really, really helps to kind of engage the mind. Right, I'm focusing my energy there. That's where I want to be doing the work, not up here, okay? So as you take a deep breath in, imagine this mouth is opening, and then when you are breathing out, imagine the mouth is closing. So deep breath in, out, in, out. Now you don't want that mouth to close until all of the air has escaped from your lungs. So that's really focusing your energy on making sure that you're absolutely using all of that air that you've got in your lungs. Now that kind of does the same job as balloon exercise. So imagining that our lungs are a balloon, and as we're breathing in, the balloon is expanding. And also do this with your hands, use the imagery. So it's doing the same thing as your balloon exercise. However, I find that imagining the mouth particularly helps when it comes to redirecting tension as well. So that one will be revisited as the mouth when we look at tension relief exercises. But try it both ways, with the mouth and with the balloon. So it's always going to be, as soon as the air is all out of your lungs, that's when your hands will be together, okay? Floaty head. So your floaty head is kind of sort of linked to the mouth in your belly exercise. So it's not really an exercise, but it's just imagining that your head is this floating thing that is separate from your body. And the rest of your body is doing all of the work when it comes to singing, okay? So that's really allowing you to focus on how everything's feeling down here and that support system. And your head is just a vessel that the sound is going to come out of, okay? So that, imagining that head in that way, it should almost kind of just feel like a numb, floating thing when you're singing. You don't want any tension in your head and your neck. And just imagining that it is this floating separate thing is hopefully going to help focus on that breathing, okay? Relating to the floaty head as well, and also doing the same kind of job as the mouth in the belly, is elevator diaphragm exercise. So, as you're breathing in, the air is filling the bottom half of your lungs. When you're breathing out, the air is coming up to escape. Right? What we're going to do, we're going to imagine that as the air is escaping from our lungs, we've got this elevator that is actually pushing down, that is making the air come up to escape. So as this elevator is going down and it's taking up that capacity in your lungs, that is where the air is kind of coming up, escaping from the sides and coming out. Okay? So by this pushing down and imagining this elevator, this lift, going down, what you're actually doing, so with regards to breathing, it's really focusing your thinking downwards, so it's focusing your energy on your diaphragm and what that is doing, what that muscle is doing. It's really making sure that the breath is coming out at a steady pace and that all of that breath is getting used as it's coming out of the lungs. It's also a great one for tension, this redirecting the tension, pushing that tension downwards as you're thinking about that lift, going down, and kind of helping to achieve that floaty head. So this one will come up again when we're talking about tension relief. Okay, so again you can do the motion. If you're doing the motion, make sure you're not lifting your shoulders again. So, deep breath in, out. Okay, belly button spine is another great kind of focus exercise for really making sure that you're getting all of that air out of your lungs and making sure that everything is nice and strong down here as well. So as we breathe in and our bottom half of our lungs expand, we're going to breathe out, funnily enough, and as we breathe out we're going to imagine that our belly button is going to come all the way in and it's trying to make contact with our spine. So deep breath in and belly out. Out. So you're really kind of sucking that belly button in and wanting it to imagine that it's coming to meet your spine. That is really strengthening all of your abdominal muscles. It's working that diaphragm nice and hard, and it is again making sure that all of that air is being expelled from your lungs and it is being used. There's no point in wasting any air when we're singing. That's the opposite of what you want to be doing. You need it, it's precious. Okay, we can expand on that exercise in a very attractive way. This is umpire stance. So this, especially if you're really struggling with that 360-degree breath, if you're struggling with even getting used to the feeling of the air filling the bottom half of your lungs, this one's great. If you're kind of thinking with some of these exercises, well, sometimes maybe I can feel that, but I'm not really sure, don't worry about it, that's quite normal. It can take years to get used to breathing into the bottom half of your lungs. There's 360-degree breath, so don't worry if you're not finding that's happening, okay, every time, or you can't automatically notice it. Keep practicing all these things and then one day it'll just click. Now this one is really good for that. So it's, again, the belly button spine, so you want to imagine that when you're exhaling, when you're breathing out, that the belly button is going to go and meet your spine. However, we're going to do like a cricketer's umpire stance for this. So you're going to keep your back straight, your legs maybe a little bit further apart than shoulder width this time, knees bent, you're going to stick your butt out and you're going to keep your back straight and just rest your hands on your thighs. Now, when you're in this stance, when you breathe in, you should really feel that belly come out as you are breathing in and the lungs are filling there. So you're kind of forced to recognise how that feels, almost in a standing up stance, but you're bending over. And then as you exhale, you are going to, again, try to imagine that belly button is sucking in and it's reaching your spine. So, umpire stance, deep breath, and exhale. And again. Okay, so hopefully you can really feel that air filling the bottom half of the lungs with that one and get used to how that feels almost in a standing up position. Good luck with those.